Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel and of course welcome to my home. It's been a few days since I have posted and made a royal video, so I am back and we have a few stories that I want to talk about today. So let's get straight into it with the extraordinary revelations, I should probably say, about Harry and Meghan and how they operate within the media and their charitable organisation Archewell. So basically, I think it was the Daily Mail, correct me if I'm wrong, but they made a Freedom of Information request in the US, I think it was the US, to obtain information. They actually got access to email, so I imagine they would have not probably got the access from Archewell itself. I think they probably would have gone to the schools, the organisations, and got the correspondence that way, I would imagine. So let's just park that there and move on to kind of what was revealed in these emails. So, as we know, Harry and Meghan as part of their Netflix documentary. Now, the Netflix documentary is part of their Archewell Productions, not the sort of non-profit element to Archewell. So anything released with Netflix is, of course, Harry and Meghan making money personally. So they visited, as part of it in one of the episodes, they visited a school where Meghan read to some school children her book, The Bench. Now, I've already spoken about The Bench when it was out years ago. Anyway, so she reads the book to the children. Anyway, these emails reveal that there was a lot of planning. Obviously, 6 months worth of planning went into the event. Now, that is the same for all sort of royal events as well. So William and Catherine, the King and the Queen, Princess Anne, all the working royals, events, engagements are pre-planned. Most of them 6 months, 12 months in advance. So Harry and Meghan sort of not doing anything typically different with regards to that. But what we've learned from these emails is how they've done it and sort of what they want from it. So what the striking thing that came back was the request to edit the press releases to make it sound more substantial than what it was. So essentially it's Meghan reading a book to children, but they wanted to add in words like community, blah, 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 to make it sound bigger than what it was. So Harry and Meghan were obviously, and their people, were concerned about how things look, the gravity of how things look. They want huge gravitas. They're obviously in their heads trying to make themselves look, as these emails reveal, more substantial, more important, more relevant than what they actually are. Really, in reality, it was Meghan reading a book to school children, of which they had a hand in obviously choosing the school, choosing everything, even down to requesting new carpets and cushions, because of course Harry was going to be sitting on the floor. Yes, it was all very contrived. Now, as part of what the school wanted, by the way, I'm not going to go through all the emails and dissect them one by one. I will screenshot them and I will pop them on the screen so you can pause and you can read at your own leisure. They make for very interesting reading, the kind of backwards and forwards, the toing and froing. Anyway, so Meghan reads this book. Now, the schools were saying that they didn't want anything used in a promotional way. And from these emails, Archewell was saying that they do not intend the footage and the school children to be used to promote anything kind of business-like. Okay, so for some reason, but it could be used in certain things, right? So we get that. They obviously signed that off. They agreed to it. They made everyone sign disclosures, saying that they couldn't even, bad talk or bad mouth Harry and Meghan. So in other words, if Harry and Meghan did leave a kind of a negative imprint from that visit, the people weren't even allowed to talk about it. I mean, that's not typical. And as far as I'm aware, members of the public on engagements are not made to sign non-disclosure agreements of that gravity when it comes to the working royals back here in the UK. So that's very much a kind of celebrity type thing going on there. But also goes to show how tightly Harry and Meghan want to control not only the media, because again, only their favoured media outlets were invited. The British newspapers that they have massive contentions with were strictly forbidden. The emails reveal that as well. But they also want control on what the people who they meet, what they say about them as well. For someone who values her voice, her freedom, her voice, her expression, it seems a very unusual step to want to try and stifle other people's voice. I mean, someone might want to talk out about the experience that they have faced. Anyway, I digress. There's going to be a lot of digressing in this video. So the school didn't want to be used, or didn't want the school children to be used for promotional purposes. Cut to the footage being used in the Netflix documentary to basically promote the book. I mean, that's what Harry and Meghan were doing. That's why they were reading that book. They were reading her book. They could have read any book. It didn't have to have been one of Meghan's books. Could have been anyone's books. But no, it had to be her book that was very busy. It was all staged. It was all contrived. It was all set up to sell that book. And I can hear people saying, well, the royals have been on guest edited magazines, and they're all trying to sell magazines and different things. And Prince Charles has had a book out about the environment and blah, blah, blah. The difference is that those endeavours are not making personal money for that royal. It's always done in a charitable sense. Whereas I think people are beginning to really question now the seriousness of their charitable endeavours. If basically they are using school children, and these emails prove that they have been using school children to sell their wares. They've also, been using the Invictus Games warriors to sort of raise their profile and sell their Netflix documentary about it. I've made previous videos about this. As time goes on, we're learning more and more we're getting evidence about how Harry and Meghan are operating, and it doesn't look good on them. Everything seems contrived. Everything is for personal gain, which is what you don't get when you are a member of the royal family and you are working for the nation. Everything that you do is not for personal gain. It is for the nation. It is to raise the profiles and awareness of charities, and they don't get anything, personally from that, other than any of the expenses and things that are paid for the normal sanctioned ways, the Duchy of Cornwall, the Duchy of Lancaster. So yeah, it's different. It's a different way of doing things. And I think Harry and Meghan, Harry in particular, must be thinking back now how much easier life was here in the UK without having, they've left, but they still got the same level of criticism that they had when they were here. So nothing's changed. And like I say, these things are coming out now, all these emails, and it's not going to stop here. If the Daily Mail or any other publication have managed to get through a freedom of information request this level of information, they aren't going to stop. It's going to carry on. So it's going to become increasingly more difficult for Harry and Meghan to kind of make these arrangements and have this level of control, unless they sort of do everything by phone or even WhatsApp group, which probably isn't going to work for a lot of the charities and organisations that they are working with, or public bodies like schools, who are going to want to have actual physical records of all the liaisons, all the toings and froings. So it's not looking good for Harry and Meghan with regards to their Netflix documentaries and things. It's almost being picked and pulled apart, and I think it doesn't really leave them much room to go. Oh, also, I did actually forget, before we move on to other stories, the bit about they wanted to edit the bio to include Harry more because it was too Meghan based, and they felt it looked a little bit weird with it just being Meghan based. So they amended it to make Harry look more. It's all very contrived, and it's all a bit cringe. It's cringe. That's what it is. It's very, very cringy. I'm going to move on to the next story now. Okay, so a new kind of role, a new patronage for Princess Anne's husband, Sir Timothy Lawrence, who has been made patron of the International Maritime Rescue Federation, the IMRF for short, an organisation that's dedicated to saving lives at sea. Now, this is quite a departure. Now, he has not been taken on as a working royal, but he has regularly been seen by his wife, Princess Anne, the Princess Royal side, for many, many years. And increasingly, he has accompanied her on engagements. And of course, Princess Anne being one of the world's most hard-working royals of any royal family, including our own, always towards the top of that list of engagements. So people have been talking in the comment section about different royals, especially from my previous video, coming in and kind of taking up some of that slack that's been experienced by the natural wastage of the departure of Harry and Meghan, and of course the non-return of Prince Andrew. So will he be taking a more prominent role within the royal family? I don't think so yet, but it is a step in the right direction to be doing that. So here is what he has said about his new position. He said, "It's an honour to be appointed the new patron of the IMRF, and I look forward to working closely with the organisation, its members and personnel worldwide to advance the cause of safety at sea." And I think, he will be a good addition as a non-working royal. But of course, he is always a constant presence at royal occasions and carries out a number of different responsibilities. He was appointed to the Governing Council of the UK's Royal National Lifeboat Institution in 2004 and has had a successful career for decades in the 70s until 2010. He's also a trustee, board and chairman to the Operations Committee after retiring from the Navy. So I think it's a positive sign that perhaps, he could be seen more as Princess Anne's kind of companion to engagements, but also perhaps have a small programme of his own in due course. But we're just going to have to wait and see with regards to that. Okay, so thank you for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, then please give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to share on social media, and of course do hit the bell so that you know whenever I upload a new video. So from me, mwah to you all, and goodbye.